My name is Jorge Gutierrez. I'm a CDL instructor for Saladon in Laredo, Texas. Okay, today we're going to talk about a pre-trip inspection. A pre-trip inspection, if you do it right, can save you time and money. Okay, we're going to show you how to pass a CDL for Laredo, Texas only. Okay, first of all, you have to check the general condition of the vehicle. You have to check if it's leaning to one side. If it's leaning to one side, it could be multiple things. Okay, low tire pressure, a bad suspension, or poorly balanced load. You have to check for leaks underneath the vehicle. You have to check for oil, for coolant, for fuel leaks. Okay, you have to check for any wires that are hanging loose. You have to check, for animals, humans, debris, anything that impedes the movement of your vehicle. Okay, first of all, as we approach the vehicle, we have to inspect the front part of the vehicle. We're going to check for the mark lights. First of all, they have to be amber. They can't be cracked. We need to check the windshield for cracks. We need to check that the washer blades press firmly against the windshield. Windshield needs to be free of illegal stickers. Okay. Start with the front, off the truck. Check the mirrors for sturdiness, no cracks. Headlights, bumpers, grill, firmly intact. Okay, we'll check for lights. Check low beams, flashers, high beams. Okay, marker lights work, fine. Now we're using the automatic work lights to save some time. We'll start with the engine compartment. In the engine compartment, you want to check, first of all, wheels, suspension, and your engine compartment. On the wheel itself, we need to check the thread depth. Have a thread depth indicator. Front steer tires need at least 430 seconds of inch thread. You can see we've got plenty more. And we need to check air pressure, 110 psi on steer tires, 30 seconds inch thread on all other tires, and 100 psi on the rest of the tires. Okay, first of all, we need to check the tires are worn evenly. We need to check for your wheels, no cracks, no bends, okay, no illegal welds. We need to check for leaks. Okay, we need to check the seals for leaks. We need to check the pump oil. Okay. We need to check the tightness of the nuts. Make sure they're tight. They're unsecured. Okay. Rust around the nuts might indicate the nuts are loose. We go to the inside of the wheel itself and we check your brake shoes. Make sure they're not worn. Okay, you need to have at least 1/8 of your brake shoes. And you check for cracks. If you have a crack more than half of the friction area, put the vehicle out of service. Then we move on to your brake shapers. Okay, air hose, ABS cable, properly secured. Okay, no holes, no frays on the hose, no leaks. Slack adjusters. Okay, your slack adjusters you need to pull with your brakes released and your wheels shocked. You pull against the brake slack adjuster, and you can't have more than 1 inch play. Your suspension is very important. The suspension is what holds up the vehicle and keeps the axles in place. We need to check your U-bolts, make sure they're tight, not loose. Okay, any shiny parts on the leaf springs might indicate that the leaf springs are loose. We need to check shock absorber for leaks. Can't have any oil around the shock absorber. That indicates that you have a leak, bad shock. We need to check the windshield wiper fluid, engine coolant fluid. There are two types of systems. there is a pressurized and a non-pressurized system. This is a non-pressurized system. On a pressurized system, you could have the radiator cap. You have to push down to release pressure. Contents is under pressure and very hot. We need to be careful. Then push down and release just to check the coolant. As you can see, this is a non-pressurized system. It's transparent. You don't need to open it. Although this one is a non-pressurized, might still contain a little bit of pressure. We need to check all your connectors. Make sure that all your connectors, all your cables are properly secured. Okay. Everything is properly secured. You're going to go with your drive belt. Pull against the drive belt, against the tensioner, and you shouldn't have more than 3/4 inch plate and no less than 1/2 inch plate. The belt can't have any cracks, frays, can't be dry. You need to check the fan blades for any broken parts, any cracked parts, any missing parts, or to hold the system properly. Okay, all the cables need to be with insulation. All the clamps need to be on right, not loose. Water clamps. On the exhaust system, we need to check for clamps. We need to check for leaks. Okay, any black soot might indicate that there is a leak on your exhaust. You have to check the general condition, all the wires, all the components. On the headlights, make sure the headlights are unsecured, wire harnesses properly insulated. And we go to the right-hand side, the left-hand side of the engine. Now remember, we check the wheels the same way. Check thread depth, check air pressure, hot oil, check for cracks on the inside, check the brake shoes, make sure they're not worn digitally thin. Check the air hose, brake chambers, slack adjusters. On the steering system, we need to memorize the components on the steering system. Of course, we have the steering wheel, steering shaft. Steering wheel can't have more than 10 degrees or 10 inches on a 20-inch steering wheel, 1-inch plate, no more than 1 inch. Gearbox, pitman arm, drag length, steering knuckle, the spindle, steering arm, and your tie rod. Tie rod is what connects both wheels and turns them simultaneously. We need to check the oil, the dipstick, properly secured, oil fill. This is where you add the oil. Make sure it is properly secured. Again, hoses and clamps, properly secured. Stay tight. Check all hoses. Power steering fluid. Make sure it is secure. Headlamp assemblies. Air filter. Properly secured. And check the date of expiration on the filter. Fuel filter. Make sure that there are no leaks. Leaf springs, U-bolts, axles, and this concludes the engine compartment. The engine compartment, now we're going to move on to the walk around. Okay, I always begin pre-trip inspection the same way, that way you won't forget anything. Okay, you tend to catch things a little quicker, it's a lot faster. Check the engine compartment secured. Again, check your mirrors, check for cracks, headlamp, grill, bumper, license plate. secure. Door opens, latches. On the inside of the vehicle, we have a fire extinguisher. Fire extinguisher needs to properly filled and secured. Door latches. Check the latches on the side, amber. Steps. Fuel tanks. Properly secure the cap. Make sure that you have the seal intact. DEF and your seal. Again, check for seal. Make sure it is secure. You have to open up your door. Check for your emergency equipment. Fire extinguisher, already checked. 3 reflective triangles and spare electrical fuses. We need to check the sturdiness of all your flaps. On the side of the trailer, of course, we need to check the air hoses. Check your seals. Condition of your seals. Secure it once more. Check your seals. Pigtail. Secure it. Make sure it has the retractable spring. Hoses cannot touch the catwalk. Check your battery box cover. Make sure it is on secured. Catwalk. On secured. Drive shaft. Airbags and springs for your cab. Fuel tanks, harnesses secure. No leaks on the fuel tanks themselves. Exhaust pipe. Splash guards. On the front of the trailer, we need to check for any damage to the trailer. We need to check registration, papers, and inspection. Make sure they're secure, they're current and up to date. I will come in here and check my brake shoes. Make sure they're not warmly thin. Thread depth. Make sure my nuts are all tight. Air pressure. Airbags. Suspension. This is a sliding fifth wheel, therefore I need to check that the pins are locked in the gate. If you check that my fifth wheel is in the locked position, there is no visible space between the apron and the fifth wheel. I have to inspect my apron, make sure that there are no cracks, no bends, no welds. And I need to check the bottom of the trailer, and I need to check the cross members. Once I'm done with the side of the tractor, I will go to the rear of the tractor. Continue checking my lights, airbags, check for my brake shoes, make sure they're not worn thin. I need to check for leaks. I need to check all my wire harnesses, make sure that they're properly secured, properly insulated. Air hoses, secure, not rubbing, touching, kinking, shafting. And this concludes the rear of the tractor. Of course, you need to check your mud flaps, make sure they're more than 8 inches off the ground, and the conspicuity tape intact. We move on to the side of the trailer. Okay, on the side of the trailer, we of course need to check for any damage to the trailer, any holes. We need to make sure we have conspicuity tape. Please conspicuous intake needs to be at least half off the trailer's length and needs to be evenly separated throughout the trailer. We have to check the integrity of your landing gear. Landing gear needs to support the weight of the trailer. We can't have anything loose, anything missing. We need to check for tightness, sturdiness. We need to make sure that the crack sits on its cradle properly secured. Continue checking the floor, cross members, skirting. We need to make sure the skirting is on right and secured, no loose skirts. Any equipment on the trailer needs to be secured. The scale. Continue checking the skirting, light, amber on the side. Anything towards the front needs to be amber. Red towards the rear. On the side of the trailer, it is very important that we check that the sliding tandems are locked and engaged. Okay, we have three different. We have a lever that pulls up. We have one that pulls backwards, just like your fifth wheel. And this is a neat system. It's pneumatic. We track the pins, but we're looking for the pins to be locked in place. Again, we have to check each wheel. 2/32 each thread. You have to check 100 psi. You have to check for leaks. You have to check your nuts. One thing that you need to make sure is that the extension valve stems are on. Each wheel needs to have the valve extension. You need to have 18 valve extensions in the vehicle. We're going to check your hoses. Cannot be rubbing, cannot be kinking. We need to be properly separated. Cannot be shafting. We need the retractable springs. We need to get in here and check your brake shoes. Make sure they're not warmly thin. We have to check for leaks. Brake chambers, hoses properly separated with its separators, not rubbing, touching, kinking. Shock absorbers, airbags. Everything in general needs to be on and secured. We move to the rear of the trailer. Continue checking the floor. Continue checking the cross members. On the back of the trailer, check. I can see my air tank, the air lines, separators, hoses not rubbing, touching, kinking, airbags, shock absorbers, brake pads, not worn thin, no leaks, no cracks. As you can see here, we have our push rods. The slack adjusters are checked with all buttons pushed in, your brakes are released, and your wheels shocked. You pull against the push rod, and you can't have more than 1 inch plate. Mud flaps, at least 8 inches off the ground. Continue checking your cross members, your floor, and we move on to the rear of the trailer. On the rear of the trailer, we continue checking the lights. Red at the rear. Continue checking. On lights, stop lights, marker lights, ID lights, license plate. Conspicuous hit, ICC bumper needs to be on and secured, not loose. Continue checking the side of the trailer for lights. Conspicuous hit. We have to check our hinges, make sure that they're not broken, they're not bent. Continue checking your tires, thread depth, 100 psi air pressure. Remember, we always got to check in between the tires to make sure that there's no debris on your duals. Continue checking thread depth, air pressure, side of the trailer, conspicuity tape. Continue checking the cross members. Check the skirting for sturdiness. Make sure it's on and secured. Keep on checking your lights. Check the trailer for holes, damage, conspicuity tape, landing gear, tires, thread depth, air pressure. Again, 100 psi on these rear tires, and it needs to have valve stem extension on all wheels. Check the side of the tractor. Locks engaged. Sliding wheel. Airbags. Suspension. Brake chambers. Apron. Thread depth. Wheels. Air pressure. Lock nuts. Splash guards. On the secured. On this side, we have the exhaust system. We need to check your exhaust. Okay, check your clamps. Any black soot indicates that you have a leak. Continue checking your fuel tanks. Okay, harnesses on and secured. Sturdiness of your fuel cap, seal intact. Steps. Door opens. Latches properly. Mirrors, no cracks, not loose. Lights. And this concludes the pre-trip inspection on your vehicle. On the in-cab inspection, first of all, you need to wear your seatbelt. We need to watch for our gauges to start working normally. Engine oil temperature, oil pressure in the normal. Water temperature, RPMs. We accelerate to make sure the engine responds. Check. Speedometer, voltometer over 14. Fuel, primary and secondary air tanks. Of course, we check for windshield wipers. Check the heater, defrost, working. On the 4-point, we're going to check first, step number 1, we're going to check for cut-in and cut-out pressure. The cut-in pressure is at 100 psi, and the cut-out pressure is between 120 and 140. I'm going to reduce my air to 100 psi, make sure the governor cuts in. I help the engine by accelerating, just speed up the process. Cut-in pressure, check. Again, cut-out pressure between 120 and 140. My truck should cut out at 130 psi. And check. Step number 2, I will turn off the engine, push in buttons, release my brakes, turn the ignition key in the on position in order for my gauges to start working. I will do the applied brake test. Anytime you hear the word apply, means applying your foot brake. After the needles settle down, after the needles stop moving, we will start timing and check for our loss rate. Okay, our loss rate is 3 psi, no more than 3 psi in 1 minute for singles, and no more than 4 pounds in 1 minute for combinations. I have a trailer, therefore it is 4 pounds in 1 minute. Start timing, my brake applied. Air pressure holding. Three, 2, 1, 0. I have not lost 1 pound in 1 minute on both my primary and secondary. I have 4 pounds in 1 minute. I have passed this test. My next step is step number 3. I'm going to check for my buzzard. I'm going to fan off my brakes. My buzzard should start working before 60 psi to give me adequate warning. Check. Step number 4, I will check for my tractor protection valve, that my brakes are set up automatically once I lose more than 45, between 20 and 45 psi. Red button should pop out first, or both buttons at the same time. Check. That concludes my 4th step. Now I can say start the truck. Make sure the truck is in neutral. Build up my pressure. This concludes my in-cab